Welcome to the Muslim Philanthropy Podcast. My name is Muhi Khwaja at American Muslim Community Foundation. Today we are honored to have on Ahmad, Kaki, and Aisha from MCECC's youth group. They've been nominated for the Outstanding Youth Award. So welcome to the show and congratulations.
Walaikum salam. Thank you.
Yeah, Alaikum Salam. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk a little bit more about your backgrounds and kind of how you got started at MCECC. So Aisha, do you want to share a little bit more about your background and the mosque and the community there in San Antonio?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Antonio, born and raised. So this has always been home for me. But it wasn't until college. I went to the local college, UTSA, and it's kind of just right around the corner from the masjid. And so it was easy access. There was always events happening with MSA, and we kind of looped in with the masjid, and it was kind of just an easy transition for me to go from like MSA to masjid planning and organizing. And so, yeah, that's how I got to where I am right now.
Awesome. And Ahmed, why don't you share a little bit more about your background as well?
So very similarly to Aisha, I was actually, if Aisha went more in depth, it would have been uncanny how similar our kind of resumes are within the local community. Also born and raised in San Antonio, though I spent some time outside in like kind of small cities. Family wasn't super involved with the masjid or anything, but I also became involved in college at UTSA, the University of Texas at San Antonio. I worked at the MSA there. We, as Aisha said, we're connected to the masjid. So while I was with the MSA and Aisha as well, taught at Sunday school. And then Sunday school kind of transitions into learning, getting more familiar with leadership. And then eventually was asked to be on the youth committee and been there for the last several years. So pretty much from age of 21 in college until now, I've been involved in one form or another.
That's really awesome. And, what is it that you appreciate about the youth committee work that they do and your involvement? I know you guys have done, various service projects and you guys focus on ages from as young as 5 all the way to 30. So, there's a variety of things that you can do to keep them engaged. But how is it and why is it meaningful for each of you?
You can start, Ahmed.
Okay. For me, the youth committee gives an opportunity for young people to be involved in the masjid in a more intimate and specific way. I think that a lot of us find at certain masajid and community centers as we grow up that like when they ask young people to be involved, it's in a very or strictly voluntary way, which is great. Of course, young people need to be volunteering at their masajid, but the youth committee allows you to not just volunteer, but to organize, right? So for me, I'm 27, but I'm the oldest member of the youth committee. Every person kind of goes down after that until I think our youngest are 21 or 22, or maybe even younger than that. And everybody's involved in organizing for the community. So the special part of couples and so on.
Yeah, I think to hop on to what Ahmed said, working with the diverse group of committee members, I think is very enriching. There are typically 8 of us, but right now there are 7. And so we all come from different walks of life. We're all different ages, and it's just very rewarding to work with like-minded individuals, but also very diverse backgrounds, as well as we do our community enrichment within the committee. So we read books and we have discussions about the varying chapters about faith or any sort of relevant topic. And yeah, I feel like because we kind of are with the MSA also with college, but also with high schoolers and middle schoolers and like little kids. It offers a wide variety of things that we can do to engage and like get people in the masjid, not just for salah, but also to fill the masjid space with youth and community organizing.
Yeah, I think one of those community initiatives, you've helped with the San Antonio Food Bank and also the Habitat for Humanity. So, can you talk a little bit more about some of those volunteer community based initiatives that you've been able to do?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we do try to dabble in a lot of community efforts just because San Antonio is a big city, but with like a small town feel to it at times. And so we've done the Habitat for Humanity, we've done the food bank, we've also done one of our more regular things is the Feed the Need, and so it's where we all get together. It's families, college, young professionals. We get together, we make sack lunches for the homeless and like the street dependent and needy people of downtown San Antonio area. We try to jazz things up. We do peanut butter and jelly. We've done hot dogs before, whatever it is. Treats. We have the kids write little messages on the brown paper bags, like from your Muslim neighbors, or have a fantastic day kind of thing. And then we caravan over to downtown San Antonio, and we pass out the sack lunches to our fellow San Antonians. And it's very interesting because for the young children, it's their first time ever witnessing that sort of poverty or aspect of life. And so they ask questions, and it's like a moment for education as well as like, telling them, be thankful and, you know, picking up these life lessons as well as, just getting to have conversations with people who are living on the streets, but they're very much so people, they can carry conversations. There was a man from Egypt who started speaking Arabic and was able to converse with a couple of the Arabic speaking volunteers. So, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the core things about Feed the Need that Aisha mentioned is that it's a very like homegrown community effort. That project specifically has been going on since who knows how long. Since I started at UTSA, it had already been a long running project, and then it just kind of passes from hand to hand within the community and continues going. I think Aisha like nailed that on the head. We've also spent time taking the younger ones to do certain community efforts. For example, one time we took them to a nursing home as part of a bigger project we used to do called Day of Remembrance that I probably don't want to go into too much detail about because it's been a while and I don't want to sound like I forgot everything. But part of that was taking them to a nursing home and getting them to sit down with some of the elderly in the community and talk to them and brighten their days. So that was great as well.
That's really inspiring to hear, and especially just engaging kids. I think one of my most meaningful experiences that I had, even through college, was just the volunteer opportunities, and I think that's translated into a lot of who I am as a person. So I can definitely see this being informational and transformational for all the kids that you're helping. So for this question, we can start with Ahmed, then go to Aisha. But what does community mean to you?
Oh man, why you got to start with me on that one? That's a tough one. Um, uh, Excellent question, of course. I guess when I think about community in the context of what we do, we're thinking about serving local Muslims, children and their families, and kind of working from there. So community is as a collective, right? For us, when we're organizing through MCECC Youth, our objective is very not event centered, right? It's about development, it's about growth. because that's what ultimately benefits community, right? It's not just some one-off event or the pizza party or going to the bowling alley or even just one halaqah. It's a collection of those things with very specific goals in mind. And those goals are tied back to community because we want children, and when I say children, I'm being very liberal, from ages 5 to 30. We want youth to be involved with their masajid and be a part of their community, right? We want that to be a place that they're comfortable being at, being home with. We want parents to be able to drop their kids off at the masjid, knowing that they have something fruitful to do, that they're going to grow, they're going to learn. And if we do that collectively, then we become a strong community, one that can be very effective within greater communities or within the cities we're in or the country that we're in, and so on and so forth. So when discussing community or defining community, to me, it's very specifically about what we do. And it's us as a collective growing together closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in service, in learning, and in other things as well.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Ahmed said, I feel like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of the word community is togetherness. And whenever we're event planning or trying to figure out what is the next thing that we want to do, for me, being able to tie back the like community aspect to whatever event that we're doing is always super important. I feel like at the end of the day, we want the masjid to be a safe space and a place where people can go and they have their group of people and they have their niche, because in out in the real world, there are not always going to be these huge vast groups of Muslims that they can like pray with and have these religious discussions with, or just regular discussions that are where everyone has that like same base knowledge of like life. And so yeah, I feel like community is togetherness and just everyone kind of moving together on a path that is, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like just I can't think of the right words, but yeah, that's where my train of thought was going.
It's togetherness, and like when you think of community, you
It's
often
like,
think about being extremely inviting, right?
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, and purposeful and togetherness. Yeah. Um, so, everybody's favorite buzzword, 2020, right? It's been such a dynamic and challenging and thought-provoking year. So how has the youth group kind of worked through going virtual and slowly opening back up and things like that?
Yeah. I'll take this one first, Aisha. For us, it's a huge struggle, and obviously a struggle that all different groups, like whether they're professional organizations or volunteer organizations or community organizations, they struggled with that. And for Aisha and I, as individuals, we're both like really into like not only organizing these things but being places. So it was hard on both of us, and we wanted to create a program that was far reaching, that people wanted to come to, right? So for us, transitioning to virtual programming happened right around the time of Ramadan, which for any Muslim youth group around the country is probably the busiest time of the year. So it was Zoom calls at first for the
Right.
first few months, but diversifying them, right? We had social gatherings over Zoom, we had iftar over Zoom, we had halakas as well and reoccurring lectures. So all different kinds of things, so that whoever you were in the community, you could find something that was fitting for you. For the young kids, we have a couple of youth committee members that specifically worked with the younger ones, but they were doing like storybook readings with them, arts and crafts things over Zoom. So we created pretty dynamic programming. But recently we've transitioned into doing really safe and socially distant physical events, which we've learned, especially after experiencing the virtual world, that there's no replacing that. But alhamdulillah, we were able to create something in the meantime.
I would say Ahmed hit it right on the head. So
If I'm ever saying too much, Aisha, you can just interrupt me halfway through so that way you can finish it.
okay, I got you.
Nice. Okay, well, is there anything else that you want to share about the community in specific, or just, what the nomination means to the organization overall.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for a lot of the youth committee members, we were like super surprised because I mean, we do what we do just because we love doing it, and for someone to see that that MCECC youth is doing good in the community and want to recognize us was very shocking because it's like, whoa, like this is everyday, you know, happenings, and it doesn't feel like it's anything worth recognizing. And so it's like amazing to look back and kind of reminisce on the things that we've been able to accomplish. And it's just, alhamdulillah for all the things that we've been able to accomplish and for the direction that we're trying to move in. And yeah.
Alhamdulillah. The youth work in San Antonio has been a long-term project. San Antonio is often seen as a small city, but it's big, and that surprises people. But for a long time, youth organizing within the city didn't reflect the size as far as engagement and community development was concerned. When the youth committee was kind of established years ago, they made that objective, and our pioneers succeeded in that. And Aisha and I have been handed something that was already great, and tried to be delicate and nurturing with it, and continue doing the great things that the people before us did as well. So alhamdulillah, it's nice to be recognized for that, but I'm also extremely excited to be at the program in a couple of weeks and see the other organizations that have been nominated and hear about the awesome things that they've done as well.
Likewise.
Yeah, definitely. Again, congratulations on the nomination. It's really fantastic to hear about the work that you're doing and leading. And we're excited to host on November 14th for our Muslim Philanthropy Awards and annual symposium. So thanks again so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Alhamdulillah.